Episode 2. Mr. Maxwell said.
Do you boys really understand what Mrs. Rosa Parks gave you?
Then, he leaned toward the boys and stated,
Have you ever been told you couldn't sit somewhere, couldn't eat somewhere, and couldn't learn or live decently because of the color of your skin?
A heavy silence settled over the boys as Mr. Maxwell's words lingered in the air, almost tangible. Tony swallowed hard. The hum of the bus station suddenly seemed louder, while the conversations around him faded into something distant and hollow. His body still ached from track practice, but the tightness in his shoulders and chest had nothing to do with running hurdles. JJ shifted beside him but remained silent. Boz, who was usually quick with a witty remark, stared at Mr. Maxwell. His arms remained folded across his chest, but his grip had loosened. Tony wanted to speak, but the words would not come. Mr. Maxwell's message weighed more heavily on him than the pain in his legs, the fumes rising from the idling buses, or JJ's question about why they always sat near the front. The older man looked at the boys as if he could see something they had not yet learned to recognize. Mr. Maxwell exhaled slowly and leaned forward, clasping his weathered hands together. His tired but knowing eyes moved from one boy to the next.
Fellas, I don't think you really understand what people went through back then, so that your lives could be easier today.
His voice carried the gravity of remembrance. He was not repeating something he had read in a textbook. He was speaking like a man who had witnessed the past and carried its burden with him ever since.
Mrs. Parks wasn't only fighting for herself. She was fighting for the people who would come after her.
He paused.
People like you.
The boys were beginning to understand the lesson hidden inside his words. The freedoms they enjoyed had not simply appeared. Every right they possessed had been purchased through someone else's courage, sacrifice, and refusal to accept injustice. If they failed to understand that history, they might also fail to appreciate and protect the opportunities it had given them. Then Mr. Maxwell's expression softened.
And if you live long enough, you will eventually have a story to tell, just as I have.
Tony sat across from him, no longer seeing himself as merely a tired student waiting for a bus. Something about Mr. Maxwell's presence drew him closer. There was a quiet edge in the older man's voice, and a hesitation suggesting that his story reached far beyond anything a textbook could explain. Then Tony finally found the courage to ask the question pressing against his chest.
So, what's your story, Mr. Maxwell? It is Mr. Maxwell, right? That's what I've heard people call you.
You're correct.
Then he studied Tony for a long moment. His gaze became unreadable, as though a painful memory buried behind his eyes had awakened and was waiting for permission to breathe. After a long silence, he whispered,
I have a civil rights story, one that has never been told.
Tony's heartbeat quickened. He glanced at JJ and Boz, but they sat just as still as he did. The atmosphere inside the bus station had changed. The laughter, distant horns, and steady murmur of passengers gradually faded from their awareness. In their place came a heavy silence filled with anticipation. Tony leaned forward slightly.
Would you mind telling us?
The importance of the moment pressed against his voice, making it quieter than before. Mr. Maxwell released a slow, deliberate breath. His fingers tapped against his knee in a steady rhythm, as though he were keeping time with a memory only he could hear. He glanced toward the bus lane, checking for his bus and silently measuring how much of his story he had time to share.
Well, I don't know if you young cats can handle this, because this ain't your ordinary bedtime story.
He paused, allowing the warning to settle over them.
See, this isn't the kind of story that sits easily on your mind. Do you really think you're ready to hear it?
Mr. Maxwell's gaze moved slowly across the boys, as though he were weighing their hearts rather than merely listening to their words.
Yes!
The boys replied. Something changed in Mr. Maxwell's expression. He leaned back and stared into the distance, pressing his lips together as he carefully considered where to begin. A faint spark appeared in his eyes, but it was surrounded by something deeper. Pain, perhaps, or a memory that had never stopped haunting him. Tony could no longer hear the surrounding passengers or the buses idling outside. His attention remained fixed entirely on Mr. Maxwell. The older man's fingers twitched. He swallowed slowly, as though he were pulling the words from a place inside himself where they had been buried for years. Tony shifted in his seat. JJ's eyes widened, and Boz's jaw tightened as the tension around them continued to build. Time did not merely seem to slow down. For the three boys, it felt as though the entire bus station had stopped moving. Mr. Maxwell finally broke the silence.
I don't think there's enough time to tell you everything before my bus arrives.
His eyes shifted toward the bus lane, then slowly returned to the boys.
But I can tell you how it began.
Tony, JJ, and Boz exchanged a nervous glance.
Okay.
Mr. Maxwell leaned forward, his weathered hands tightening around his knees.
Well, I was only 8 years old, the night they came looking for someone to hang.
The boys froze. Then Mr. Maxwell took a trembling breath and began telling the story he had kept buried for more than 50 years.
Listen to the complete chapter on my YouTube channel, The Grape Sucker.